What is up, ladies and gents? We are back. I am the Guitarist 562 and I do video game guides and walkthroughs. And in today's video, I wanted to go over a very important thing, which is the longbow staff or staff dagger build, generally that people use for PVE. I'm not saying PvP, for PVE. So I'm going to go ahead and take off most of this important stuff. So as you know, with longbow, you want an endgame build that benefits your damage, and a lot of people used to use the Reaper set, right? So there's a nice substitute. So we're gonna go ahead and put in the wing storm hood, because the entire 4-piece wing set, as you can see, it gives you a 2-piece an extra crit of 200. At 4-piece, it gives you critical damage of 15%, an additional critical damage 1% per 1 meter of distance from the target, critical damage up to 40%. So you got to remember that depending on your range, you can probably get up to like 30 meters. So that's an extra 30% of damage. So we need to figure out what kind of points we have. So we have strength 2, dexterity 3, as a raw stat. But let's go over the traits and why you would run certain things. So for PvE, not PvP, for PvE, you'd probably run cooldown speed for sure, and mana cost efficiency, because you're going to need those things to do your dungeons a lot quicker. Now for PvP, you'd want ranged evasion and magic evasion and probably cooldown speed. It's hit or miss whether you want cooldown speed or mana cost efficiency, but if you're trying to pump out as many skills as possible, probably the cooldown speed. But if you want to be, efficient with your mana, which I don't think you really need, because like I said, if you're longbow staff, mana's not really an issue. If you're staff dagger, then it might be an issue, but not really with inner peace. And if you're longbow dagger, not really an issue, because you have so many different ways of getting your mana back. But let's go ahead and see what it would look like at full points. Let's go ahead and reset all my stats right here. So that's what my stats would look like initially with no gear. Now, let's go ahead and pretend like we're going to transfer something to it. So at max level 9, I would have, let's see, winged helmet, 5 dexterity. Let's see, dex, wisdom, strength, and perception. So at max level, it would be 5 and 4 strength. It's not bad. Now, let's move on to the next piece. For the chest piece, for PvE, I would definitely go for the Abyss chest piece or the Miracle of Mother Nature if you don't have the gear. So look, at max you get +5 dex and +3 wisdom, but let's look at the Abyss chest piece. Where's it at? Let's go ahead and pretend like we're going to transfer something into it so you can see the max amount. Let's go ahead and unlock. Where is it? It's actually unlocked. I'd actually have to unequip it from most of my builds. So this is going to be a pain. All right. So now it's unequipped from all my builds. There it is. And it's unlocked. So as you can see right here, it would give me 5 dex and 4 strength again. So 5 strength and 4 dex. So you got to keep in mind what you're doing with your stat points. I know that you have your skill builder online, but it's different when you can actually see it in person. So these are the stats. Take a screenshot so you can see what it looks like. So in total, that's 9 stat points versus, let's go ahead and look at the Miracle of Mother Nature chest piece, which is only 8 stat points. But the difference is, the reason I like this one more for PvE is because even though it only gives you 3 wisdom and 5 dex, you're actually getting 78 heavy attack chance, which is really good for your PvE build. Now for PvP, you can either use the Abyss chest piece for stat points, or you can also use this bad boy right here. Where is it? The Holy Ghost Fighters Devotion Armor. Definitely wouldn't do it. This is mainly for tanks, but it's just kind of nice if you want the DR. But as you can see, you have no raw stat points. That's why you wouldn't go over that at all. So for PvE, go for the Miracle of Mother Nature chest if you want the heavy attack chance, or go for the Abyss chest piece. That's, again, these are my opinions. You don't have to agree with them. Now let's go over the stat distribution for the traits. So the reason I like this chest piece so much is because for PvE, you're actually going to need a lot of HP for some of the new content, especially in the challenge dungeons. Now that's a little bit harder now. Buff duration is really good for PvE. Now for PvP, the way I would go about it is I'd go max 8. I kind of wouldn't go max HP, mainly because arc boss weapons are kind of a pain right now to deal with, mainly the Bellandir brand. So I'd go ranged evasion, magic evasion, and probably ranged endurance. But that's just me and my playstyle. I do like health, but it's just more annoying when health means nothing when you have the dot damage. So yeah, Abyss chest piece right here, if you want to see what that looks like. My other PvP build, obviously you see right here, I have this, but I would definitely change this. So let's go to the next piece, which is going to be legs. So let me write that down. Abyss chest piece, because like I said, you need the 4-piece wing set to actually complete the build. So let's go ahead with the legs. I have the wings legs right here. So I go ahead and transfer. Okay, I don't have it unequipped, so let's go ahead and unequip it on all my builds real quick. All right. Now it's unequipped, so that means I could transfer into it. So let me make sure it's good to go. So for the wing set right here, I get 4 decks off of it. And I also get really good for PvP. As you can see, it gives you 115 hit. So that's a good thing to realize. And you have bind resistance. So that means ensnaring arrow incoming, you're going to be able to resist that if your resistance is higher. Not guaranteed, it's just a higher chance. So I'm writing all these numbers down because it's going to give me like extra points to play with. So to see where I'm realistically going to be at. So now that we can move forward with that, let's go ahead and look at the traits on the actual pants itself and talk about what traits we're going to use for PvE versus PvP, because they're very different. Now for PvP, you can go ranged evasion, magic evasion, and max HP. And if you want, but for me, I would go ranged evasion, ranged endurance, and magic evasion. I just can't stand Bellandir weapons that much. That I would be even willing to sacrifice the HP. Now for PvE, debuff duration, max HP, and then your choice. It doesn't really matter. But again, debuff duration can be really good against for PvP because it removes the length. It doesn't remove, it reduces the amount of time that certain things happen to your character. For example, let's say you are hit with a sleep that isn't instant at the moment. It'll actually, for example, sleep will, for some players it's like 8 seconds, but if you have a high enough debuff duration, it's like 5 to 6, stuff like that. And it depends on their level too. For example, if they have a low level sleep, it's like 5 seconds or 6 seconds, and then with debuff duration, you're just unslept right away. Now granted, with the new skills of specialization, it's going to be a lot harder, because if they have that skill specialization where they actually sleep right away, then debuff duration is kind of a moot point, because it doesn't matter if you have debuff duration, because it just works so fast that there is no debuff to removing to begin with. Now, so very different. It's you have certain traits for PvE and certain traits for PvP, and they do not mix well separately. Like, you can use them for both. I'd be lazy in the future, especially if you're gonna be a free-to-play player, and just build for PvP, because you can kind of get away with it in PvE content, especially with how easy it is now. So there you go. Now let's go ahead and do the boots now. Boots are going to be the winged boots. Let's go ahead and find them. They're right here. Let's see. Where is these bad boys at? The winged wind gale boots. We are missing something, so let's go ahead and remove it off all the builds, because then I can't transfer it over. Weird enough that it's not showing my Wraith Knight boots, but it's okay. All right, let's go ahead and transfer. Sorry for not editing. I'm just I got off work and I'm tired, so I just want to explain this to you as easily as possible. So this is kind of the drawback about the wing set, is because of the fact that because stats are very important. That's why I vouch for the Abyss chest piece, because it kind of gives you back the stat points that you were missing from not having it on other spots. So you got like I think the 115 earlier from one of the pieces, and now you get another 105 hit right here. So really good for hitting most of your targets, especially in PvP. And it has built-in magic evasion, which helps you with fighting multiple players that are like staff or wand, if you have, you know, high enough evasion. So there you go. There's no stat points here, but the PvP stats are really nice. And if you need an explanation, hit really just means if you're going to hit your targets. Now let's go ahead and explain the traits that you're going to run and why you're going to run them. So movement speed is really good, in my opinion, for PvP, because of the fact that melee can try to catch up to you. But if you have a high enough movement speed, they'll never be able to catch up to you in the long run, unless they have, for example, if you play at 30 meters and their bind is at 14 meters, they have to be close enough for at 14 meters to be able to actually silence you, or they can actually have a nice bind now with the new update with silence having an increased range of like 40%. So, but other than that, movement speed is really good for PvP. For PvE, not so much. So really, it's your choice what you want here. Again, for PvP, let's go start with that. Ranged evasion, magic evasion, and again, I'm always going to vote for ranged endurance, because the longbow users and the Bellandir crossbow users are just the plague. Staff players are gonna hit you, but especially the way I've been fighting other players, I rarely get killed in one combination. It's very rare, but that's if you have a proper build, you have the proper defense, and you have the proper evasion. But not everyone does that. So you can vouch for magic endurance if you want, but I would honestly like push for evasion, because of the fact that you can reach up to like 2k evasion with stuff like that. It's harder for them to build hit towards you. They can have high enough hit, like 1100, 1200, maybe more, but they have to really compensate and have other things just to reach that high to actually hit you. So with 2000 plus evasion, they're gonna miss attacks on you. Now, so for PvE, max HP, your choice. Honestly, I can't really say, because there's not much to work with right here. If you don't want to get hit by, you know, spells, then go ahead. Magic evasion and ranged evasion, go ahead. Now that's everything except for the gloves. Let's go ahead and go for the gloves. Let me make sure that all of this is off, because I want to be able to show you guys everything that you need to see. So let's go ahead and find the winged gloves. Let's go ahead. Did I forget to put them in the box? I think I did. Let's see. We got Dawn Mist, Sacred, and Reaper, and General Frenzy. Yeah, it's not here. So let's go ahead and grab those from the storage. But winged gloves are really good for stat points. I think it's 4/4 on each. But I'll correct myself right now if I am wrong. But it's really one of the best builds, in my opinion, for ranged players, because it's like a built-in Reaper set. All right, let's see. Wing gloves right here. Transfer. Where are the gloves at? All right. So as you can see, yeah, look at Dexterity 5. See, pants, gloves, Dex 5, and Wisdom 4, and attack speed 4.9%. Really huge. So let's go back. Let's check everything. We got helmet, chest. We already saw the Abyss. Pants. We saw that. Shoes didn't give anything. Let me double check to remember what the pants actually gave, because I didn't write that down. It was 4 Dex. Okay. Oh, I did write it down. All right. So with this build, you are gaining an extra 5, 9, 13, 18 stat points for Dex. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So you're literally off rip. That's what it looks like. Let's go ahead and take this all off. You're going to be looking at 41 dex automatically. And if you already know when you start off your character, this is what you look like. With nothing on, this is what you look like. Now, depending on your character, it's going to be 10, 10 and the gear that you're using. For example, this one's giving me automatically 10 strength, etc., etc. So let's take that off. That's what your character looks like. So let's go back. I missed the talking point on the glove, so I apologize. I got sidetracked a little bit right there. The Wing Typhoon gloves are probably one of the best gloves in the game, along with the Sacred Vanquisher gloves because of the stat points. And look at that. It gives you attack speed and range. Now, it's for PVE, I would go for range, attack speed, and then, you know, range endurance or evasion, your choice. But for sure, you need attack speed and range. For PvP, I would go for ranged evasion, magic evasion, and attack speed. You can go either way. Ranged evasion, magic evasion, and range. So you can, you know, snipe people from far away. But it's just, you really need that attack speed. So from my experience, attack speed and range for sure. And then you might have to cut a loss here for magic evasion. You might have to just plop it and find a way to get it through here, through the resonance list. Now that's an added feature. Anyway, but for PvE, attack speed, range, and your choice. PvP, same thing, your choice. It's really hard to say. It depends on your playstyle. If you like to snipe people, range. If you want to be able to survive, ranged, magic, and attack speed. But again, it really depends on your playstyle. So now that we have everything, let's do the math and see what we can work with. So we have, let's see. I have an Excel sheet right next to me. 18 stats of dex. 9 strength points and 4 wisdom. Just to start off with. And on top of that, you have 49 extra points. So the frustrating thing about it is you need to realize that when you're building your character, you need to know that after a certain point, it starts to cost an additional points. So to show you that, it's at 10. So let's go ahead and see when it starts. I believe it starts at 20 points. After 20 points, you see that? It starts to cost 2 extra points. So that means it didn't start costing me till about 30. You see that? So if I already have an additional 18 points for free on dexterity, that means I'm actually sitting at 48 points of dexterity right now. And that's really good because you get these breakpoints, for example, critical hit, bonus damage, and 50% movement speed. I personally, I'm not sure for PvE, the stat distribution for endgame content. I always tell people you want to at least go 40 strength and stuff like that, because it just keeps you alive for a lot of the dungeon content. It's just, I've seen so many people die, and I always ask afterwards, what do they have? And they always say that they don't even have 30 strength, stuff like that. So to start off with the PvE side, let's go ahead and put all the stuff on. We're not going to be able to fully build it because obviously I don't have it all upgraded. It just costs so much, but let's go ahead and put the pieces in place. Let's see. Let's see, where's the gloves at? So we can kind of get an idea. Now, let's see, longbow and then staff. Now you see how I have my character built up right there so far. Without putting everything in, this is what it looks like. Once you start putting the pieces together, you can kind of see where you can reach. My recommendation for PvP is to try to get 60 perception because of the extra bonus hit at 120. But if not, you can safely go 50 and then 50 and 50. Dexterity is cool and all, but I like the breakpoints of the cooldown speed at 50. For me personally. For you, it really depends. I've talked to a bunch of different staff players or longbow players. Everyone has their own preferences. You definitely want to hit 50 strength for PvP because of the heavy attack chance, as you can see right there. But you're not a melee player, so you don't need to hit the 60 breakpoint. So the most infamous necklace that you're going to run for PvP is going to be the Slaughter's Collar. You're safe to use this in PvE as well. I personally like to use it for PvE, but like if you're really going to go for efficiency and free to play, you can go for the Abyss Conqueror's necklace that you could just do for open world, dungeon farming. It gives you 1 extra stat point, and it gives you mana regen, versus the Slaughter's Collar, it just gives you melee evasion and 6 strength. So as you can see, 7 points here and then 6 points. And you might not think that's a big deal, but the reality is it is, because every single stat point brings you closer to reaching a breakpoint that also maximizes your overall damage. So now for the ring, the annoying part about this is now that they've updated AGS, this is no longer going to be dropping in Morokai. This is now given its rightful spot as basically an S-class level item, where it only drops from Bellendir now. It's gonna suck so much for you guys to be able to get this, because this one gives you like a free 12 stat points. Like, look at that. Without that, I just lost 12 stat points. But if you can get it, you can go ahead and grab it. But before we go on, let's talk about the traits on the necklace. Now, the necklace traits for PvP. For PvP, you have to choose the most common is max HP, skill damage boost, and buff duration. But I've seen, people who are very, very PvP focused, and they'll go for SDR and max HP, and then depends on what they're trying to go for. If they're really trying to bind people, I rarely see it, but the most common, even for PvE, is just max HP, SDR, and buff duration. Okay, but look at the traits that this one has, and now let's compare it with the traits that the Abyss Conqueror's necklace has. Stun chance, bind chance. See the difference? Small differences, but they all affect the overall build. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our character again. Each one of these things gives you stuff. So for PvE, I wouldn't even use either of these necklaces, because for Longbow staff, it is nice and all, but let's look at the necklaces over here. We have the Great Sage's necklace, which gives you wisdom, max mana, and mana regen. And there's a bunch of different necklaces, but that's why I really just wanted to focus on this. This right here is the gear that you're going to be farming for. Now, I'm just showing you what I'm currently using, so you can use this and you'll be safe. Most PvP builds use this. You can use this for PvE and you'll be all right. The most common bracer is the Beast King's Gilded Bracers, because it's just easy to get from Spider Queen, Ant Cave, the Cave of Destruction. There are other bracers, but they're just not as popular, and it just gives you so much perception, which is good for PvP and reaching the breakpoint to reach that extra 120 hit. And it also gives you bonus damage. Like, look at these other bracers. Health regen, horrible. Worship, bonus damage, no stat points, horrible. And like I said, you pick and choose what you want to have. But with these new different builds, like originally I had wanted this one, the dexterity, mana regen, and ranged evasion. But literally everybody on the Korean server mostly uses the Beast King Gilded Bracers for PvE and PvP. Now let's look at the traits. You have collision resistance, silence resistance, and right here. People are starting to branch out now that it's a lot easier to get your accessories. People are starting to use all this other stuff now. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have made accessories a separate video and just focus on the wing set, but whatever, it's fine. Now, max HP, skill SDR, and debuff duration. That's the most common traits that people usually run. As you can see, it gives me 13 bonus damage and it gives me 6 perception. Now, the rings that you can use for staff and longbow, this is actually, it used to be you can trade in dimensional crystals to get this, but now there's another way to get it. You can go ahead and see how to acquire. You go to the accessories crafter right here, and you have to turn in your dimensional dungeon tokens to convert into a material so you can actually get it right there. But substitute rings that you can use is like the Abyss ring for mana cost. Let me go ahead and take a look. I'm pretty sure I have it in my storage. Where is it? Abyss ring. Right here. Added attack speed and mana cost efficiency. Crossbow dagger players use it, and you can too. So let's go ahead and see. Unshakable gold ring, strength 2, stun chance, good for melee. You could probably use that, but we're talking about longbow staff here. Lethal frost, dexterity 4 and weaken chance. This is kind of like a nerfed version of the blue version of lethal fortune. Even though this one's blue, I like it a lot more than the purple variant. Silence band, added attack speed, dexterity 2, and silence chance 50. This is a nice ring too. Deadeye. This one has perception, bind chance, and added attack speed. So just at a, you know, bullseye view, just a snap judgment, this probably would be the ring that you'd want to go for as a substitute for the 2 rings that I have. Fallen Angels Band, Wisdom 2, Petrification Chance, and Mana Regen. So let's go ahead and see how we can actually craft this thing. So let's see. Just so I could show it to you guys. The Insightful Ring of Dimension. I think it was over here. See, this is Dimensional Essence of Desire. Because you can craft a box. I think it's right here. Here goes Abyss currency. I don't want to use that. Here we go. Duke's Magna selection chest. Okay, yeah, see? Right here. Eternal Ring of Dimension. And how do we get that? We have to craft a Dimensional Essence of Salvation. And how do we get that? You craft it right here. This is the tier 2 version. Let's look at the tier 1 version. Where is it? The tier 1 version is the same thing as getting the tier 2, but you're using the lower grade dungeon materials to get it. It's right here. See? You use Carnix, Soul Shards, and if you do the math, right now currently in Korea, you get 4 tokens per run. So that's 8 runs. Let's see, you get 3 runs a day, so that's about 12 of these tokens that you can get. So you can give yourself about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about 6 days, and you can craft yourself one of those rings. I never saw anybody use the other one, but you know, like I said, people, that's the cool thing about this game is that there's just different, you know, rings for different things. For example, the Eternal Ring of Dimension, you get movement speed, 2.4%, strength 1, and dexterity 2. And this is the one that I use because of the range. That's why I use this ring for this class, because you really want to snipe people, and it has nice perception. So let me show you what that looks like right here. At the max level, you get 4 wisdom, 4 perception, and 6.2% extra range. Now let's go over the traits. Buff duration, SDR, and max HP. That's why I like it, because for PvP and for PvE, it gives me the health that I need. So Transcendent Magic Ring, same thing. Let's go ahead and look at the traits. I don't need this. You can if you want to, but you'll be alright without it. There's max mana, SDR. For the Transcendent Magic Ring, if you do choose this route, I wouldn't go for max mana. I would actually go for mana regen. It just makes things a lot easier when you're out fighting, that you actually have, even though you might have a larger pool on max mana, you're going to catch yourself on empty a lot. So it's better to get your mana up completely. Even with Nature's Blessing and all that, it just won't be enough. So let's go ahead and start putting these accessories on. So we're almost done. Now, for the belts, most people use the Tychon's Bloodlust belt because of the strength. Again, there's certain breakpoints you want to reach, and it's just easy to reach these breakpoints when you have the right gear. See, just alone right now, look at what the way my character looks. I have an extra 49 points in total to work with. Now, let's see, equals sum. All right. From the entire build, I just did the math. In total, you get about 31 points with this build right now. So 49 plus 31 to work with. And you can't just work with it in any way you want, because like I said, after 20 points, as you saw, you're actually going to get affected by the +2 if you want to go any higher. See, like right here, this is my 20th point. So if I want to go up one more, I lose 2 points. But again, you can't see the full build exactly because it's not all +9, but you can do the math yourself if you wanted to see it yourself. And just take screenshots of everything with your build sheet on Google, because I'm sure you have the build creator online, but it was basically missing the extra stats that you would see that I just showed there without actually having to commit fully to the build. But right here, it makes it really easy to hit like 50 strength, like see that. But what I really want is like I said, 60 perception, and then probably get to like 40 dexterity for the bonus damage, and then 50 strength, 50 wisdom, and then 50 perception. 60 preferred, but if you can get there for PvP. Now for PvE, that's a whole different story. I would be happy with this at 40, and then try to get this up to like 60. And then, you know, obviously get your wisdom at 30, and then the rest into perception. If you disagree with this, feel free to tell me about it in the comments below. Like I said, I'm trying to make general videos for most people after my 1 year of playing this game, I would say. And it's pretty spot on for the most part that most people use this consistent build right here. Now, for the cloak, it's a mixed feeling between this one for the extra range or this one, Spectral Shadow, because of the attack speed and the bonus damage. If you want range, which is very, very helpful, believe it or not, for PvP, then sure. And it's also really good. Like, remember how we saw before, that extra range really does show when you're fighting people. It makes a difference whether you can be in certain spots and snipe people in PvP. And, you know, every point of range adds crit damage to your overall build. So is that extra 1% or 2% going to make the difference of that 10 damage that the Spectral Shadow gives you? Let's find out so you can see what this looks like when I do a transfer. Did I take it out? Let's see. Took that out. Took that out. All right, let's go back and see what that looks like. So at max level, you would get your range at 7.5%. All right, so that does add a significant amount of distance. Right here, this one gives you about 6.2%. So if you want to see what the difference looks like right there, I'm going to go ahead and head to Viento Village so you can see firsthand how much 6% makes a difference in your overall build. And remember, this is just an end game build for PvE and for PvP. I showed you both sides so that way you don't have to watch two different videos. It's going to be a lot easier just if you had questions for both. It's very useful for PvE and for PvP. I'm going to basically do this for other classes as well, but I can guarantee you that most players use this build for pretty much everything. Like Reaper Set isn't really used as much anymore. I mean, you can. I'm going to show the damage comparison with that as well later on. So this is what I currently have on. Let me take that off. Let's see what my range limit is right here. So 23. $22. Let's go ahead and put the ring on. Look at the range, says 22.7 meters. Let's go ahead and see it right here. 23.86. That means I can almost push to 24. Almost 24, like right there. So at 7.5%, I'm assuming it would be right there all the way. Now with my actual build, I can probably get like I can actually get like back here, but without the missing stat points, I can't. Because you got to remember that when you reach certain breakpoints, like right here, you get an additional 7.5% there. So 7.5% there, another range right there. So let's go ahead and show you what that'll look like. 50. So got the ring, got that, and look at my range now. It's about 25 meters. Let me walk up to 22. So this is where I was. And this is where I was before. Now, I'm still missing, more range accessories and stuff like that. This completely maxed out so you can actually see everything all the way. But that's just to give you an idea. And you got to remember, there's certain pieces of gear that you're going to have that are going to influence your overall build to even get farther. Because I've seen friends of mine get up to 29 and 30 meters with the gear that they have on. And you got to remember too, that mastery makes it a huge difference as well. Let's see, cooldown. Let's see, bind duration, anti-magic buff. Nope. Let's see. All right. But yeah, that's the PVE and PvP build recommendation from me. You don't have to follow it, but I highly recommend it. I would probably have some people do it for my guild. I'm honestly going to link this video so that way I don't have to tell people what to farm for. But to give you an idea of where to farm all the pieces, let me go ahead and go to the co-op. You can get the chest Abyss right here from Island of Terror. Void Waste, you get the gloves. Let's see, Valley of Slaughter is where you get the helmet. Carmine Rage Island, you're going to get the boots. And Torture is where you're going to get the pants. Now, the next thing I want to show is that in the future you can actually be super lazy and you can actually craft it now, because I don't know how I feel about this. I think it kind of sucks, but you can actually just wait for someone to farm the item for you and then outright buy the piece that you need. As you can see with ink and everything, look at that. You can just buy the piece without having to wait to farm for it. It gives players a reason to farm, convert it into a lithograph and then sell it on the marketplace. So that's good for the market, but I feel like it defeats the purpose of the way it was before, where it was like a grind and not everyone had it offer it, but now it takes the effort out and empowers kind of like the swiping aspect. Anyway, if I missed anything, feel free to let me know. I did miss something actually for PvP. Hermit Shroud, 100% Hermit Shroud. That's the way I would go about it, because it's just, look at that, range evasion, magic evasion. I know I said you can use this. I wouldn't, but you can use that. But I would always go with the Hermit Shroud, because that, look at that, 200 range evasion and 200 basically magic evasion. I'm obviously rounding really high up, but yeah. Let's reset these stats again with a full build. So that's where I have to stop. So I can hit 40, 40, 40. And I haven't even upgraded any of these stuff. So like, look at that. I did miss one thing. If you cannot use the Transcendent Magic Ring, because look at it, just butchers your entire build. And I'm going to be honest, most PvP builds are going to be very hard to reach now, because They made this much more difficult to get. The only way for you to get that now, which will be easy, is through substance transmutation and go through the rings and go to like level 5. Because like it's right here. See? That's your best bet, and is just to keep rolling for accessories and for that ring. And it's a high chance at getting one of these. It's 100%. You don't have to go to +5. See, it makes no difference. The bonus rewards is the only thing that really changes right there. So I've already have another guide up for you to see that. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to subscribe to the channel and ask me on Discord. Again, I'm going to be hosting a meetup for this Saturday because I want to talk to all the people that are going to be playing this weekend. Either if you're in the hyper boost and you need help, I'm definitely been helping people all day. My giveaway is still happening. I was supposed to have it last Saturday, but things came up. I got really busy with work. Like I just got home and got stuck in like 2.5 hour LA traffic. It's the worst. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate, but yeah, thank you guys. And tomorrow's video, I saw a lot of people keep asking for the wand dagger stuff, so I'm probably gonna do that. But I'm also probably just gonna go for the crossbow, because look at the crossbow stuff I have here. I have so many pieces of Dawn Mist now. I got the Dawn Mist helmet, I got the Dawn Mist chest piece, I got the Dawn Mist gloves, I got the Dawn Mist boots, so I can actually show you what that actually looks like. So that's it for today's video. 41 minutes later, now I'm gonna get some sleep. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay blessed.